Go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here today. So we're going to be talking about SOI. Everybody in the office should have SOI as one of the pillars, correct? You guys remember our SOI is that foundational piece. How much of our business are we targeting coming from SOI? Target? Yep. 100%. Okay, 100%. All right. What is the desired percentage of what we would call a stable business? How much do we want coming from the SOI? 100% would be great. You have to build the business to that, right? You said 80, 70%, 70% of your business. If you get 70% from your SOI, meaning repeat business and referrals, doesn't matter what the market's going to do, you're going to be okay. All right. And if you build your business correctly, eventually you will get to where it is 100% by referral if you choose to build it that way. Okay. Because remember, when you're building a business, there's a couple ways you can do it. One is organically, which is what I like to do. I feel it is the best way. That is SOI. Okay, we grow the SOI. Or the other way is what in other models, we see people basically buying their business, right? Massive amounts of online leads. But what you find is that model ends up leaving you so busy, constantly chasing leads, constantly working on converting, that what I see generally is those agents struggle with having a good touch plan, staying in constant flow with their people, and they get referrals, but it's at a very low rate compared to what it should be. Okay, and that is what starts to lead to burnout potentially. And you kind of feel like you're a hamster on a wheel, just constantly having to chase new people versus the organic built business, which attracts it to you, right? So if you remember that ideal operational model, it's all about attracting business to us. That's why we work the SOI, okay? Today is a workshop, so this is going to be interactive. If you have your computers, great. Because if you're going to pick up something from class today and make a change, where are you going to put that? Where? In the touch plan. It's going into your agile. So if you hear something today, you're like, okay, I like that. It's going into the agile, into your SOI pillar, correct? Once it's in the SOI pillar, then you can go in and make the changes to that quarterly schedule that you have. If you need help with it, by all means, let us know. Okay. So, Ryan, why are you here today?
See if there's anything I can add or add to my SOI touch plan, something that I'm not already doing.
Okay.
And also maybe see if there's something I'm doing or that I have in mind and so.
Okay, I like that. Please share with everybody, right? Part of the workshop, and you guys share things you're doing that you like that are working. Robert?
I would like to utilize a lot of contacts in my phone, a lot of people that I can work with, and I'd like to utilize or figure out a way to be a resource or a useful tool for them as well as them for me.
Okay. So moving people up the tiers of your SOI and advocacy level.
Yes.
Okay, Michelle.
It's a way to update.
Okay, update your touch plan. Okay, Christina.
Just reinforce what I'm already doing, maybe if it's some ideas of something that could be done.
Okay, reinforcement, new ideas. Derek.
Sort of along the same lines, that recently made some changes to what I thought I would do and then I wasn't doing as well as I thought I should, and took those off and then added some things, so I'm just trying to kind of flesh it out.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Sarah.
Yeah, I think I get refocused, and if there is any like I could add in the very good.
Okay, Jason.
Stay focused, grow, and something to.
Okay. Okay, well, hopefully we can help you accomplish that today. Before we start, as we generally do with momentum classes, I do just want to hit the financial ramifications of the SOI really quick. Some of you that have been in either consultations with me lately or through the new agent process recently or something like that, this is going to sound very familiar, and please help me flesh this out. But do we agree that we can generate a lot of commission income based off our SOI? Can we prove it?
Yes.
Okay. How do I prove it?
keep a track.
Okay, I'll keep track, yes. Let's just say statistically, somebody give me a number of how many top advocates they have in their list. Hopefully it's a round number. Sarah,
It's, I think it's 150.
150? Okay. Can I just shrink it to 100? I'm gonna say you have 100 of these top advocates, okay? We'll talk in a minute about who truly is an advocate to make sure we have it squared away. But from a statistical standpoint, how many of these people are going to move every year?
10%.
5%?
10%, okay, based on what? Where do we draw that 10% from? What metric can we point to say with certainty that this is going to happen? Who can tell me? Because Jason's right, it's gonna be 10% roughly based off of what?
Data from NAR.
Okay, yeah, it is. It's statistical data from NAR. It is how often people move, right? Because if I know how often people move, then I can statistically say what percentage of these people are going to move, correct? Several years ago, according to NAR, people moved every 5 to 7 years. And then they said people move every 6 to 8 years. I still think people are in that range, generally, from what I've seen. Now, you'll have outliers of people that have lived in their houses for 25 years. That's fine, but on average, now, the latest data that came out last year from NAR said people are moving every 10 years, right? So if they move every 10 years, statistically, if I have 100 people, I should anticipate what? 10 of those people to move, correct? Now, could there be outliers? 1 year I have 12, 1 year 8, sure, that could happen, okay? But it's going to get me close. So let's just say 10 of them move, correct? How many of those are going to have to buy and sell? Yeah, maybe. What if I have 5 of them that are renters? Let's just say that 5 are renters and they decide to go ahead and purchase. So is it conservative enough to say that half of those are going to already own and have to sell and then buy? I think that's fair. Okay, we would agree with that. You're not friends with anybody that rent. Okay, all right. We need to become friends with more people.
Yeah.
I was about to say that.
We need to expand your circle. All right, so do we agree that if I have 100 top advocates that I'm consistently in flow with through my touch plan, I have every reason to expect 15 deals? Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Now, for newer agents, it is a little bit more difficult to be able to count on that business that first year or two in the industry. Why?
I feel like they don't think they're trusted.
Oh, so Christina, you said what?
They don't trust you yet, they haven't seen any experience.
Okay, they don't trust you yet, Michelle.
May not have enough people.
I may not have enough people, okay, could be, but maybe I have 20 people, but yet I'm still not getting the 2 or 3 deals, right? I think trust does come into play. Why? Because one of the hardest things when I broke in the industry is a lot of people weren't thinking of me as a realtor yet, right? That first year or two, they were thinking of me as what I used to be. Okay, so that's why it is so critical that first year or two for you to be so focused on getting people to start thinking of your name synonymous with real estate. Okay, we do that through our touch plans, we do that through your social media presence. All of that is culminating into this idea of changing your identity in their minds, so to speak. Okay, so that's why it's critical those first couple of years you get this right, you get the touch plan in place. It's going consistently, right, with the phone calls, the note cards, the mailers, the emails. They're seeing evidence of success on social media. You're out doing your open houses, right? You're doing showings. Like when you're out doing stuff, you're cataloging that or whatever you want to call it, and you're broadcasting that on social media. So that starts building that trust and it's reinforcing in their mind, oh yeah, Michelle, she's in real estate, okay? And the next piece on top of that is referrals, right? So that's to get their business, but what about referrals? I've got to be getting referrals, okay? I'm a firm believer that probably 1 out of every 5 of my advocates should produce a referral, okay, if I'm doing it right. But let's again just say we're conservative and say 1 out of 10. Therefore, how many deals should I anticipate from referrals? 10, yeah, it's same math, right? So 10 there, 5 of them have to buy, sell, therefore I'm at 15. Is it reasonable to say if I truly have 100 top advocates, I can close 30 deals? Does anybody argue that point? Because I'm open to it. And I'll tell you why you're wrong. No, right, I know you won't. So we're all on board with that, right? And it may fluctuate a little bit, right, Sarah?
My 2024, I don't have a log as detailed as this, but 2023 was 20. Based off referrals plus one.
Okay, so you said 2023, you did 28 deals. Okay, so again, like I said, it may ebb and flow a little bit. But that's still pretty darn good, right? 28 deals. 28 deals, our average commission is what? Yeah, $775. That's a little bit low, but that's kind of what we use as a metric. So somebody tell me, what is 28 times 7,500?
$210,000.
210, thank you.
Off the top of my head.
We'll go with that. I got stuck at 150,000. I was trying 8 times that. Okay. Yeah, so pretty good. All right. So that is further proof of why we spend so much time building and nurturing the SOI. Okay. Versus, remember, if you do the math on the ideal operational model, 83% of agents do a terrible job after closing. Right? Because 90% of the people will close a deal and say they would use the same agent again. That means 10% of the agents are horrible. Okay, I think it's a higher percentage than that, but that's just the statistics, okay? And then of those 90% that say they use the same agent, 17% do, right? So that means there's what, 73% of agents out there that do not follow up or do not follow well. They send a recipe card once a month and they think they're doing a good job, okay? That is a fail. That's why those agents are the ones who are constantly in that churning cycle of being stressed about where business is coming from, right? We don't want to do that, so we build it, okay? So everybody's convinced that it financially makes sense to work a solid SOI, correct? Is this a better ROI than buying leads? It truly is, okay, but it does take work to get there, all right? The only other piece we need to make sure we have established is, what is a top advocate? Because if I have a whole bunch of people in this list that are truly not advocates, I cannot count on those numbers. Those numbers are not going to work, right? Because an advocate is the one who says, what? I know you, I like you, I trust you, I will use you no matter what. That is an advocate. If you have people in that list that they don't qualify for that, your numbers aren't going to work. Okay? You're going to be like, I have 100 of those people, I only got 4 deals. Wrong people, or I'm following up incorrectly. It's one of those two. So that's why you kind of have to look at your process, your system. That's why we come to these classes. So you look, say, okay, this is what a good touch plan would look like. How am I doing? Is mine effective, or am I still hit or miss? Am I still random on how I'm doing things? Okay, because then we shore up and we clean up and fix. So it's not my process, it's the problem. Okay, it means I either don't have enough people or I have the wrong people in the system. That's all there is to it. And if they're not advocates, then what are they? Who can tell me what's that next layer? In the sphere, remember, we really have kind of 3 main layers. We have the top advocates, then we have the people that we know, and then we have people that we've met, right? That's how your database should be broken up. To Robert's point, he wants to move people up the tiers. Matter of fact, it's all right here. Right? The whole point is getting people moved into advocacy. Okay. All right, so that's the second thing. We believe in the financial ramifications. You have to know who truly is a top advocate based off that information. The next thing we have to do is, are you teaching them about referrals? Okay. That's another thing, is agents, it can be hard to be humble sometimes. They see us on social media thinking we're crushing it. In reality, none of those are our listings, right? So no, you have to be willing to be humble and tell them, I need your help. My business survives off referrals from great friends like you, okay, so I have to teach them that I need it. I teach them how to give me the referrals, correct? Because if they just say, hey, I told so and so to call you, it's like, okay, thank you, that's great. But what is better than them telling someone to call you?
Then being able to show what you showed them.
Giving that.
Okay, that,
Their number, trusting you with their phone.
okay, yeah, asking them, hey, can you get me their contact information? How about starting a three-way text? I said, hey, next time. Just start a three-way text right then and there, so the ball is now in your court to be able to follow up, right? So I have to teach them how to do it, otherwise they don't know, that's not their fault, okay? And then I reward them for that behavior. Right, so whenever they give me referrals, I make sure I reward them because people like getting rewarded. Okay, they will continue to do that, so I want to really reinforce giving me referrals. All right, let's get over to the actual touch plan piece, all right? And this is where I want everybody to kind of chip in on what they do, all right? Now, I'm a firm believer in 4 key components to your touch plan. Okay? Who can tell me what those are? If you go through the momentum referral bootcamp piece that teaches a 33 touch plan, 33 touches a year, right? Well, if you do these 4 key components, you're literally right there. Okay, who can tell me what?
Phone call, note card,
Face to face.
face to face.
Quarterly calls, I heard that, and I heard quarterly note cards.
Face to face.
Okay, face to face.
Birthday cards.
Okay, birthday cards. Okay, what else? I have 2 other really big ones.
Fives.
You guys said it with so much confidence, I almost bought it myself, right? That close. Physical mail, put Popeyes over here.
Email.
There you go. I think the core foundation of your touch plan needs to be quarterly phone calls. That gives me 4 touches a year, correct? Or if they refuse phone calls, you know, I'm okay with the text message conversation. I like calls better. So I do quarterly calls, 4 touches. Quarterly handwritten note cards. I'm at 8 touches, correct? I put something in their physical mailbox every single month. That's another 12 touches, correct? So I'm already at 12 minutes 20. Would we agree? And then something in their digital inbox every month, another 12 touches. I'm at 32. Remember how I said 33 is what was top? So I'm at 32. That's the bare minimum. Okay. So what else do we add? Well, we said birthday cards. Okay. I'm good with that. I heard face to face. What does that mean? What are we doing face to face?
Meeting them or coffee month or day.
Okay, I'm good with that. So we have coffee or lunch. Okay. I always, when I was doing sales, I tried every week, make sure I had at least 1 lunch appointment. Okay, what else? What else is face to face that you could put on your touch phone?
Celebrations at house, like anniversary party or birthday party.
Okay,
Or client events.
okay. I would probably lean more towards the client events. I'm not opposed to birthday and anniversary parties, but I feel like I can capture more of my advocates maybe in an event. What are some events that we could do? What are some events you guys do? Anybody?
Movie theater.
The movie theater, okay. I'll create a list for that.
Big travel. We do a party.
Okay, what else?
We're gonna try to do 4th of July, fireworks stand for Remax.
Okay,
Dave's got me working on that for next year.
Okay, so we're gonna do a fireworks stand. And then, is that something that we could like? Invite our people out, all our SOI people, and they get a discount?
That's what he's hoping.
Okay, so you get a coupon code specific to our tent, okay,
That's what he wants to do, is looking for a board and suggested. To check off of it, I mean, I did down by April 29th to get this year, and I didn't make it.
okay,
I had to have insurance and location and all
Yeah.
that set up first.
Yeah.
Have to apply, get this, sure, you guys can go.
yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of work, but all you do is create an agile, the first time you do it, then boom, you can just start repeating it every time, okay?
And so he wants that opened up to everybody to buy in, like we do pies. You know, set up packaging the fireworks.
Okay.
And then everybody will be able to buy into that, and offer it to their clients. And
So the client actually gets it for free, they can show up.
clients, they get it for free.
Yeah.
And then if they wanna buy extras in the stand there, they buy whatever, but then the package actually has some. You know, whatever they decide to do, you know, for the kids versus adults.
Okay, what would be really cool is if we could make enough on the sales, so the other one completely covered. So that it didn't cost any, that would be.
I think I got it covered.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Okay, so a fireworks stand, that could be huge, what else? What other events? Who all has clients events on their touch plans, right? Okay,
Team,
the team ones, okay. Yeah. Okay, any other ideas? What about some lower cost ones? What could you guys think of?
I probably do a happy hour, but I don't love that happy hour.
Okay, happy hour.
I've done Royals tickets.
Okay, Royals. Yeah, speaking of that, in the past, we rented out like the, used to be Pepsi porch, I don't know what it's called now, but you can rent out that whole porch. Now, it's a more expensive one. But that's pretty cool because you're right there behind the fountains, right? All your people get to come in, you have their tickets for them, their parking passes for them. They get all the food that they want and you know through the seventh inning, I think it is, so that's a really good event. What about the event tonight? Who's leveraging that with their SOI? I know I personally am bringing multiple people. And all except one, all past clients that have bought or sold with me. And then I have a new, somebody new coming today as well. Right, I mean, that's what you've got to take the opportunity to leverage it, even if it's just one or two couples, right, that's fine. Because that's relationship building, okay, don't miss these opportunities to do those things. Okay,
I was the one bill, I was about to be doing Xander, but it was that, like Children's Miracle Network, there's been a few office ones that
Okay.
get extra client tickets.
Yep.
I mean, like a concert and something.
Yep, so see them in an event, yes, you could absolutely do that, what else? Potentially take them out for a golf tournament, right? Do we not always see golf tournaments? Usually benefiting charities, is there any reason I couldn't have a team of 4? And invite or 3 of my SOI people that like to play golf, could I do that? Certainly, okay, but the thing is, we have to be thinking about these things, if we're not thinking about them, we just don't do it, right? And the whole year goes by, it's like I really didn't do anything special for any of the people, right? Because I didn't take the time to get clarity on what I was gonna do. And then sometimes finances will come in, I'm like, I don't know if I can afford to do that, I don't know if you can afford not to, right? Because these, remember the people that generated that 210,000 or whatever. Those are the people. Right? That's critical. What else? What other type of in-person things can we do? What about like Arcade Alley? Everybody ever thought about that one? It's right downtown Lee Summit. We did that one as a team once. You can actually rent out that whole room. Okay, I think we catered in food. I don't know what we catered in. Habaneros we catered in.
Like over there, like super affordable.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so it worked out really well. All the people came in, everybody got a wristband. It was a fun event. Right, everybody could come in and eat, and they got the wristband, unlimited play all throughout the arcade. Now, when it comes to cost, you have to shoulder the cost all yourself? No, right? Who can help us with this? Lenders, yeah, there's all kinds of people that can help us, okay? If you're a solo agent, do you have to do it alone? No. You should, not you should be, but you could combine with other solo agents, especially if you're like, okay, well, my sphere is a little bit smaller. We'll get with 3 or 4 or 5 other agents, like, look, we can do this together. We'll get a lender in, we'll get, whatever sponsors we can. And your out-of-pocket expense is gonna be much, much lower because you're all doing this together, and now it's worth doing it. I may only have 10 people come. Well, you may say, well, I'm not gonna rent out a movie theater for 10 people, but what if 5 of you get together, you each have 10? Now we have 50 people coming in, and it makes sense to go rent out a movie theater, okay? So be thinking about that part of your touch plan, that face-to-face events are huge, okay? Literally every time we do an event, somebody comes up to me and says, oh, hey, I got somebody I'm gonna have, I'm gonna get you in touch with. Literally every time, okay? So don't overlook the power of these face-to-face, in-person type events. Yeah, or you swap fly. Okay. Anything else? Any other ideas? Because something you say may spark an idea in somebody else.
I kind of go for doing, whistle stop coffee or coffee shop, and then to do like maybe for Mother's Day and do a flower bar for people to come in and build their own flower cakes. Get it or walk around shops.
Yep, okay. Are there not a lot of things built to do that? What about what is that, sips and paint or whatever they call it?
Yeah.
We've never done those events? Yep. You could do something like that. We've done before the Belger Arts. Anybody ever been there? We went and did one where we were doing pottery. You go on, they spin the wheels or whatever and paint your stuff and they put it in the kiln for you. That's a fun one, right? People like these experiences. Okay. So just be thinking about that every year. Part of your plan should be, I've budgeted in to do 2 events, and they can be small events, right? Again, you can keep your costs minimal, but the return on those is going to be massive. So at least 1 or 2 a year, I think you guys should be targeted. Okay. All right. Let's go back to quarterly calls. Okay. Everybody should have those on their schedules, and everybody should have the names broken down. What do we say on our calls?
Try not to keep the business oriented, right?
I would agree with that for the most part. Why? Because these are my advocates. I don't impute real estate on them. I don't send them real estate content. Why? Because it's not relevant to them. They already know I'm in real estate. They're my advocates. They're going to use me no matter what. My only job is to stay top of mind. Okay. I don't send them content from real estate. Yes.
Stalk them on Facebook to see what current events are happening in their lives and then
Okay.
I'll check on them. The state I was thinking of them and then see how they were doing.
Yeah. Would you agree that if I spend just a couple minutes on Facebook, I'll see what's going on in their lives and I have some content to discuss with them? Okay, what if for some reason I can't get on Facebook? Could I just call them up and follow a forward dialogue? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams, just check in with them on those things? Yes. Is there a chance when I'm talking to them about work that they're gonna then ask me about my work? Yeah, and how do we respond to that?
Oh, how fantastic it's going.
Okay, it's fantastic, however, I still need your help, right? Yes. I can tell you, I'm very, very blessed. And again, I don't drop referral seeds every time. But periodically, we need to be dropping those referral seeds, just the reminders, okay? So those are quarterly calls. I can make them about just thinking of you calls. It could be about life events. It could be about a recent birthday, anniversary, they just bought pumping, right? I have plenty of reasons to call. In your mind, you're gonna look at that phone certain times, you're gonna be like, I don't wanna call them, I don't wanna bother them. I don't want to be a hassle, like all of those limiting beliefs are gonna come crashing in, I promise you. And if I start thinking on them, what's gonna happen? I ain't gonna call, right? It just ain't gonna happen. I'll sit there and literally talk myself out of making the call. These are your advocates. These are friends. It's not overwhelming to them for you to call them every 90 days. That is 4 times a year. Do you feel overwhelmed if you hear from a friend 4 times a year?
I wish I had a friend who'd call me 4 times a
Okay.
year. Instead of saying, yes, I'm.
Somebody please put Robert on your text.
Okay,
So you can call, it's okay, Michelle's, and thank you, yeah, so, people crave that. Does it not feel good for somebody to just check in who really cares?
Yeah.
Cause a lot of the people we talk to wanna talk about what?
What you can do with that, really.
Yeah, what you do, real estate, and talking about themselves, like, no, I'm carving out this hour a day, or what, it's not even that much, right, unless you have a massive, it's like, I'm carving out a couple hours a week where I'm shutting everything else off. And all I'm doing is focusing on them. My call is nothing more than I am checking on you, how are you, how is life? And if you wanna ask, Leslie, if you wanna ask a few questions about me, no problem, I'm happy to answer those, but this call is about you. Give them a chance to talk about themselves for a bit, and people will love them. All right? So to me, that is an absolute necessary quarterly phone calls, okay? And everybody should have in your drives, and I'll pull one out just so you can remember. This was a copy of my touch plan, okay, and it's 2 pages, and notice mine was over 60 times a year. Nothing to do with real estate, you all have a copy of it in your drive, you can look at it for inspiration, okay? So we have the quarterly calls, what about the monthly mailers? Here's what goes through our mind, I don't know if I can afford that. That's too expensive, I don't know if you can afford not to, okay? You can do it relatively cheaply. I brought copies of what I send. All of you are probably already familiar with the personal marketing company, right? But these are less than $1 a piece. I used to pay like 78 cents, they're probably up to 80 something now, maybe 90. Do what, yeah, postage run, so they're probably going up a bit, but these work really well. And it's really funny because usually there is a recipe on the back and people will make that recipe and say, hey, that's really good. I've never tried it. It is, but I always send one to myself, okay? I found out early on, it is important to have an idea of what's in your newsletter. Cause I first started sending these out from by referral only, and people were thinking that I wrote them. So they wanna talk to me about an article that I wrote in the newsletter, and I was like, I really need to know what's in there, because otherwise, if I really got caught off guard, at time or two, I was like, I need to go read that myself. So I kind of started reading it just to make sure I knew what was in there, so I send a rotation of 4, so I have spotlight that I send the money talk the next month, then I send the homeowners update. And then I send living well, and when that's done, then it goes right back to spotlight, the content's always different. But I didn't want it to become boring to where they get the same one every month, like spotlight over and over. So mine is set up just to rotate. Do you have to use these? No, but you need something in the physical mailbox every month, so they pull it out. And at least have to look at it and then trash it if that's what they do. But many will read it, it's amazing to me. But is this real estate content? No. No, homeowners is more about, yeah, just taking care of your home and things like that, right? So if you're a homeowner, that's helpful. But what is on here that reinforces the fact that I'm in real estate? Yeah, picture, information, really the balloon, right? Cause that balloon is big, red, white, and blue, captures information, like boom, right? So mission accomplished, right? Is that reminder that I'm in real estate, okay? So you need to have something in their mailbox every month, okay?
Event, the balloon,
Even what?
the events, balloon,
With the balloon, right?
that's $500.
Yeah, you don't even need to pay that, rent it out, we have it at the office, right? All you gotta do is.
Oh, I was thinking a big balloon. It's
Well, we have one that
$500
sits about-
you can take rides up for an hour.
Oh, we can't do those anymore, I wish we could, right? Yeah, no, with Joel and everything, cause yeah, we used to be able to get those and raffle them off,
That's
but we can't do that.
I saw him actually, I saw the van, I don't know,
Did you?
just a week and a half ago at Hy-Vee,
Yeah,
down around 291.
yeah, good old Joel, yes, okay. Alright, so that's that. What are we putting in their digital mailbox? Everybody has that in their plan, correct? What are some ideas?
And I you said that's the hard to. Got a letter from the heart.
Okay, yeah, well, either, cause I'll either send out to you guys either the letter from the heart or dates close to the heart, kind of depending on what's coming up. I try to send that to you guys every single month. Because that's what's going out to my folks, okay? And so you literally can just rip that off and send it.
Just showed that yesterday, wasn't it?
I believe I did send it out yesterday. Okay? So that's one option, okay? What else?
Home evaluation.
Okay, so home valuation, and that would be one of the very few real estate things I will say, yes, I'm okay with. I use HomeBot for that. People love it, it's $50 a month, and you can have up to 500 people in there. I love my HomeBot, and so I have an open rate on my HomeBot every month of over 80%. And for an email, that is really, really good, right? So that is one, because I like it, because on that digest, they get to see what, they see what their home is valued at, they can see their mortgage history, they can see, you know, if they wanted to sell it, how much equity they'd have and what kind of house they could buy with it, they could see if they wanted to rent it, how much it would rent for, there's all kinds of good information on them, okay, so I do like the HomeBot. What else? Go ahead. Okay, I can send the blog out, yep, I can do that. Yep.
Holiday greeting.
Okay, holiday greetings, yep, I can do that. Okay, what else? And kind of that date's close to the heart generally is gonna focus in on one of the holidays. Okay, okay, local events. You can pull all the information from KC Daily. If you're not already signed up for that, you can do that. Become the resource of where people find out what's going on in the city. Yeah, you can do that. What else? I also do a Fun Day Monday, so the second Monday of every month, a fun quiz goes out. And then I try to personally respond to everyone. I don't always get it, but I try to personally respond. And then do a drawing, right? So I give out a $25 gift card to Amazon every month, okay? So you see, my folks are getting hit digitally multiple times. They get the Fun Day Monday, they get the letters from the heart or dates close to the heart, one of those, they get their HomeBot. So there's a number of different things going out, but every one of those is an item of value, or it's inspirational, or it's fun, right? Those are the things that we're sending out to help us stay top of mind, all right? So make sure that you have at minimum one thing that's hitting that digital inbox, or more if you would choose to, okay? And then the key thing is when it's on your schedule, it must get done, right? If you skip getting something out, then our touch plan isn't working as efficiently as it should, right? That's why it's on your schedule very, very specifically. And for most of you, when I build those out, generally, do I not put a couple days before, like prepare monthly email? And then a couple days later, it's like, boom, send the monthly email, prepare your monthly mailer. Now you make it to a point where you eventually automate things. A lot of mine will automate, that's fine, okay? But that's check equity versus sweat equity. So first it's like, you know what? No, I'll do that myself. I can prepare my monthly email in 15 minutes. I'm gonna do that, and then I'll send it a couple days later. Okay. Okay, what else? So we got our calls. What about the note cards? What are you putting in your note cards? Because that can be a hard one, because you'll get to it, you pull out your note card, and you're like, oh man, what am I gonna say? You ever sat there for a couple minutes just thinking, and the pen's not moving?
Sarah might have.
Well, again, because at any point, you can look at their Facebook page, and
Okay.
see what's going on, and
Yeah,
like I was just writing one a minute ago, and I just saw them this weekend, so it's like, it's so great to see you guys, I wish we had more time to talk, congrats on Maddie's graduation and her new life in Wichita.
Yep.
I hope you have a great summer, blah, 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 like,
Yep.
that would be it.
yeah, and
I
that's
throw inspirational quotes in some, a majority of mine.
you do what?
Throw inspirational.
Inspirational, okay. I'm a big fan of those.
Like
Inspirational.
one-liners, like that it's not even necessarily very elaborate, just literally one or two lines and then carve it in and
Okay,
You need to keep it original, like to you, or make it fake or something they don't know. One thing I do is I'm a busy Jesus lady, it's why I always praying for somebody. So I have prayer cards.
Yeah.
And so
Prayer
I
cards,
know a lot of people that are struggling and going through things, so every week. They know that they're gonna get a prayer card from me, and I try to make sure I get different ones, you know, so that I get the same one, but she knows it. But, yeah.
And then, especially past clients, I just say, hey, I hope you're enjoying your home. If you ever need anything in regards to repairs, maintenance, or updates, please give me a call. I have a list of people that I recommend and I trust.
Yep.
But I don't know what to say, or I've already said something to her recently.
I'm good with that too. Vendor recommendation. When you guys get a card from me, what's always gonna be on? It's gonna be an inspiration, it's just going to be, right? Because I'm trying to inspire you, I'm trying to encourage you, and so I'm gonna think, and I think about each person that I'm writing, like, okay, what quote, like, what am I gonna put here? I put that quote in, and then generally, I'm gonna put a little note after that. Right, just trying to inspire you, trying to just keep you pressing on, right, that's what's gonna be
Irritatingly honest.
irritatingly optimistic, okay, right? Yeah.
Your last one's still on our version.
Is it? Okay. I hope you look at it, Katie.
And she said, you always send me cards, so I'm just sending you one, I think you deserve it, or something. If you didn't have anything to say, just say, I know you're always sending cards to me and I appreciate it, so I said, thank you.
And that in itself is like huge that somebody would
Exactly,
take
for
the
no
time out of their
reason,
day.
for no reason, yeah.
That's nothing.
So back to Ryan's point, how is it that I can be irritatingly optimistic? How do I say, no, you haven't been nervous, it's a great point.
I know.
Why can I be irritatingly optimistic and not feel bad about it?
Because it's gonna
Maybe
lead to
this is
success.
It's, okay, so it's gonna, you said it's gonna lead to success, would you say?
You're genuine.
I'm genuine, okay, I think both are true, but to that main point is, yes. I'm irritatingly optimistic because I know if you do this, I know what happens. Right, that's why I can do it without being fake. Or toxic or whatever you wanna call it, so it's like, no, I know, you put in the work, right? And all I'm trying to do is just encourage you to do that, you just keep doing it, alright? And what just happened over the last 3 days?
First offer, I think.
That your first offer accepted. Congratulations, right? So all that. I forgot what you said. Irritating optimism has come to fruition, okay? With a $300,000 house under contract, okay? So keep pressing on, is what I'll tell you. What other things? What about royal schedules, chief schedules? The one thing, the little bit of advice I would have is spend the money to get the full magnets, please, okay? It's a little bit cheaper to get the one that just has the magnet right here. But then you walk into someone's house and what happens?
Slides on the fridge.
Pull out the refrigerator and hold it back there.
Yeah, or that, yeah, but yeah, the thing is like humidity, whatever, I've seen it, I've walked into people's houses and that sucker's barely hanging on, but it's all curled up like that, I'm just like, that just doesn't look good, right? Eventually, they're just gonna take it off and throw it, or it's gonna fall off behind the fridge. So spend the money, get the full magnet, it's not much more, and it's, to me, it's well worth it, right? So you have the Chiefs, you have the Royals, why do we put stuff on their fridge? And some people say, well, people have stainless steel, so it doesn't stick. I don't care, they can put it on the side, they can put it somewhere else, why? Top of mind, always there, every time they go to grab something out of the fridge, boom, there you are, alright? Does it have to be sports related? No, what are some other things that we could send? Music, okay, regular calendars, yes, what else?
Someone, like the measurements to.
Yeah, converting charts, yes. Especially if you have someone who's like a baker or likes to cook a lot or whatever, you get the one that says, I have no idea, 2 pints or this, or 2 cups or this. Like, you can convert this, so you know it's conversion charts, right? And those are ones that'll go up there and stay for a long time, those aren't coming down, so they don't ever expire.
So I bought it on Etsy, I found it on Etsy, actually, Sarah.
Okay.
Well, she directed me and then I found it, and then you can buy magnet paper. And so I just did a test one and I put it in my printer and printed it out, so it prints right on magnet paper. So then you just like cut it in half and it worked, yep, perfect.
What kind of calendar?
What?
What kind of furniture?
There you go.
That's what we're doing.
Right,
Yeah, so there's a affordable way to make your own, okay, I love that. Alright, so we're running short on time here, Well, birthday cards, yes. I am a big fan of like the love pops, you know, 'cause those are kind of fun for people to get. Oh, nice, they are expensive, they're $8 to $10, so you gotta be careful on who you use those, so I used to always use them at my closings. Cause they had ones where they had like little houses that would pop up, right? No, it's all apart. So those are some options. Any other thoughts, cause we do need to break here. Any other thoughts?
I think the best feedback I get from anything I've given is, and it's from personal marketing, so I think, or market, or Magnus USA, I don't know. But it's the little pizza cutters, the round ones, and you can put your face and your name on it, and I'm not kidding, people text me and tell me how much they love the pizza cutter, or they just randomly like. What's that from?
Yeah.
Yes.
They're kind of centers around. But they're expensive.
They are expensive, Petco's expensive,
They
yeah,
keep them forever, they can call me back if they, not to mention now they offer free shipping.
nice. And so some of that would get into like what kind of our closing gifts, and that would be a whole different conversation, like what are your closing gifts? But those, the pizza cutters, how much are those?
I need to get more, I don't know, it's been a few years, I bought a couple.
Are they super
but were-
expensive or
yeah,
they're cheap?
they're-
So those could be what, Popeyes?
Yeah.
Those could be great, Popeyes, so think about that, Robert.
Open house, like trinkets or too expensive?
Nah, I guess it would just depend on the cost of it, right?
And if you end up giving them to someone who. I don't know, I mean, I guess that's good if they use it.
Yeah. Yeah, or you could keep that kind of stuff just specific to your advocates, right? Because we do special stuff and then we don't do for anybody else, all right? All right, so the key takeaways from today is financially why we do what we do. Are we doing it with the right people, meaning the advocates, okay? We went over just some ideas, right, on how to maybe structure your touch plan, or maybe you picked up an idea or two how you're gonna tweak what you're doing, or maybe just encourage you to get back in there and be more consistent with what you're supposed to be doing. We talked about those 4 key elements, the quarterly calls, the quarterly note calls, no calls, no cards. We talked about kind of what you can say during the calls, we talked about what you can write on the notes. We talked about something in the physical mailbox, some of the different options that you could send. Talked about the different options for the digital mailbox. So those are kind of those 4 things, that gives you 32 touches a year minimum, just doing those. If you just do those, you are ahead of, I would say, 98% of your competition, I promise, okay? And you'll start to see some results from that, but then everything else you start to do is just making it better and better. The pop buys, the client events, we talk about different options for client events. Your schedules going up on refrigerators, giving out gifts like pizza cutters or anything else. All of that stuff works together to keep your relationship strong, to keep you top of mind. And then if I teach them about referrals, how to give them to me, I reward them. That is how you start building a business that is organically based with the foundation of an SOI that starts to yield massive results. That's how I move from chasing business. I don't want to always be chasing business. I want to be attracting it to me. I want people reaching out to me. I want people calling me saying, hey, we want to use you to buy or sell a house. Is that not a different conversation than me having to chase? Yes, it is, okay? That is a business by attraction. That's what we're looking towards, all right? And the touch plan is a key component of that. And the cool part is, once you build it, every time you get a new advocate, what do? I simply move them into the touch plan. Okay, which is already just sitting there functioning, okay? Did everybody get at least one thing you can tweak, change, or refocus on? Yes, okay, good deal. All right, guys, thank you for being here. That's all we have for today.
Thank you.
My pleasure.